Yet another reminder for you folks and myself in regards to the wretched evil of shamelessness. This is something that the Prophet ﷺ feared the most for his followers. And particularly, I just want to be very realistic with you. I'll share some advice from the Quran in regards to this ayah from Ali Imran with you. But before I do, look, we're living in a time where you are constantly exposed to shamelessness. And you're exposed to it so much, you're desensitized to it. So when you see something lewd and vulgar the first time, when you do have your shame intact, you get disturbed. But if you see it over and over and over and over again, you don't even know what the big deal is. Why are people making such a big deal about it? And so you become desensitized, and then you start questioning, why does Allah make such a big deal of it? Why is it that it's such an evil? Understand that when you see something corrupt, like something shameless, something lewd, something your eyes should not be exposed to, or you hear something your ears should not be exposed to, and you don't find a problem with it anymore, it's an indication that you've got a serious problem in your heart, because your heart is not disturbed by sin anymore. Your heart is not disturbed by evil anymore. That's a problem. It's a very deep spiritual problem. And if you have that problem, then the rest of your iman, the rest of your faith, you will not be able to concentrate in your prayer. You're not going to be able to cry when you ask Allah. Those things will disappear from your life because you have allowed for shamelessness to take over your life. And today, you're watching this and you have accounts on Facebook. You have friends on Facebook who have absolutely lewd and shameless pictures. I opened my account on Facebook to try to get in touch with some of my cousins from abroad, and then people just want to be my friend. I don't even check the account anymore because I'm scared if I say, yes, I want to be your friend, what picture I'm going to see. I'm terrified of it. I'm terrified of that. Why? Simply because we've opened the door and we don't feel like there's a problem, not even a little bit. So this, whether it's, stuff you're watching on the internet, stuff you see on TV, the kinds of things you say, the kinds of words you use. Words can also be shameless. The kinds of language you use that's shameless. These sorts of things we become desensitized to. And the more we become desensitized to it, again, the more spiritually we become bankrupt. Now Allah says, in this ayah, He says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً. And as for those who whenever they do an act of shamelessness, they look at something, they go somewhere, they do something, they're with someone that they shouldn't have been with, they do something they shouldn't have done, any form of shamelessness. Fahishatan implies any of it, the slightest bit of it and the worst of it, any of it. Dhakarullah, they immediately remembered Allah. They immediately remembered Allah. Imagine you're doing something shameless, your mother walks in on you, right? Your sister walks in on you, your brother walks in on you, your father walks in on you, your friends see you do something. How humiliated would you be? How embarrassed would you be? How sorry would you feel that, you would feel like scum. You would absolutely feel like scum. But now Allah is saying, you want to save yourself from becoming shameless? If you do fall into that act, then it's inevitable, you will. It's fine. It's that it's going to happen. But if it does happen, your remedy for protecting you from next time is dhakarullah. Immediately they remembered Allah. Not even thumma dhakarullah or fa dhakarullah. Immediately they remembered Allah. Immediately. فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا لِذُنُوبِهِمْ. Then immediately they asked Allah to forgive for their sins. وَمَنْ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Who's going to forgive your sin if not Allah anyway? See, when you do something shameless, you feel really bad about yourself. When you feel bad about yourself, shaitan comes and says, how are you going to talk to Allah now? What face are you going to show Him? First you do this and now you think you're going to pray to Allah? You hypocrite. And so you say, yeah, I shouldn't talk to Allah. I'm scum. And you become distanced from Allah, and shaitan succeeds. When you do something evil, especially an act of shamelessness, something that's humiliating, you go and ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to forgive immediately. And Allah puts a condition. You could become addicted to that. Yeah, I mess up. I watch this really terrible stuff, and then I ask Allah to forgive me. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this next week again. Allah says, وَلَمْ يُصِرُّوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلُوا. They didn't insist upon what they did. In other words, when you apologize to Allah, when you begged Allah that you should ward yourself off from this shamelessness, then you knew in your mind, you made a commitment in your mind, in your heart, that you're not going to come back to it. If you do come back to it, that we're human being, it might happen. But you're in your heart, there's not even the slightest bit of a doubt that you're abandoning this forever. You're abandoning it forever. You can't give up. And maybe you've tried before and you failed. You gave it up, then you went back to it. You gave it up, then you went back to it. You gave it up when you went back to it. So you start saying to yourself, yeah, I've done this enough times, probably I'll be back to it. You've already failed. No matter how many times you failed, you cannot have that attitude. That attitude alone means you are not sorry before Allah. You're not sorry before Allah. So that's just some things about the way we have to pray for getting out of the cycle of shamelessness. Just a little bit of additional advice, practical advice. Practically, what can you do in addition to the prayer? One of the things you can do is don't be alone. Just don't be alone. Be with good company. If you have free time, usually you end up in shameless activity when you're by yourself. So don't be by yourself. If you have a laptop or a computer in your room and that leads you to problems, don't keep it in your room. And keep the door open. And if you're going to be with company that leads you into shameless behavior, if you know you're going to go somewhere where you're going to see things that are inappropriate, try to change that scene. Try to get out of that scene. Spend, especially if you're in college, you have like 4 or 5 hour gaps in between classes and you're doing whatever in that time. Why don't you just go to the masjid, sit there and study? It's a safe place. You can't really mess up there all that much. Hopefully they don't have Wi-Fi, right? But the idea is save yourself from putting yourself in the situations where you fall into that stuff. There are certain places in your house or in your environment, in your world, when you are in those places, you end up doing bad things. It just happens every time you're in that room or in that place, you end up doing bad things. Then you should be smart enough to know that and get away from that place. Don't be there by yourself. Don't be there alone. This is something you have to teach yourself to do, because I tell you, if you're not able to ward yourself off from shamelessness, and you're not, this is a problem for married people and non-married people, but I'm specifically talking to those of you that are not married. When you do get married, you will have messed up married lives. You will have messed up married lives. You will have no respect for your spouse, because you have no respect for shame. Marriage is an act that shows respect for shame, but you've already lost all of that respect because of your addiction to whatever. Right? You've lost all that respect. So you will have ruined your family life. You're not going to be able to be a good husband or a good wife or a good parent for that matter. So you ruined your entire life over this addiction. Get out of it while you can. If you have no problem looking at something, staring at someone, you're not looking at them as a decent human being. You're looking at them as an animal, as a piece of flesh. That's all you're looking at them. That means you have no respect for your own mother, your own sister, your own wife, your own daughter. They are also women. You wouldn't want somebody to stare at them. The one you're staring at is also somebody's daughter. It's also somebody's sister. It's also somebody's mother. Watch it. Even if they don't have respect for themselves, non-Muslim women, sometimes they don't have respect for themselves, so they'll dress in inappropriate clothing. Even Muslims dress in inappropriate, for that matter. But you have respect for yourself and the women of your family and lower your gaze to that. And it's really disgusting when the entire family sits together and they're watching movies and shamelessness comes on, and they're all the mother and the daughter and the husband and the brother, everybody's sitting together watching. Oh, it was just one bad scene, it's okay. It's disgusting. That's not the behavior of a Muslim family. We should be disturbed by shamelessness. We should be, we should stand against it. This is one of the great troubles of this society. There are a lot of great things about our society. Lots of great things. But this is one of the things that's destroying our youth. Overexposure to shamelessness. Some girl just randomly messages you, I want to be your friend on Facebook. Well, I don't. No. Go find your brother to be friends with. Don't you have a father? He's not friendly to you? You need to find friends elsewhere? Guys, I'm telling you this very, very seriously. Very serious about this. You think this is fun, and like pictures. It's your ticket to hellfire also. You're destroying your character. Would you want to marry a girl like that? That 100 other boys have looked at as, she's kind of cute, yeah. Oh, you married her? Oh, great. Where's your manhood? The Muslim, they have a sense of haya. The women and the men. And our women, nobody's supposed to look at your wife except who? You. Nobody's supposed to enjoy her beauty except you. Right? You would be disturbed if somebody said, mashallah, you have a really beautiful wife. You'd be disturbed by that. Right? We're supposed to be as disturbed when we look at non-Muharram. We're supposed to have that sense of shame. I don't know where it's gone. It's on vacation nowadays. For a lot of Muslims, it's on vacation. Revive that sense of shame. This is very important. It will destroy your family life. You will not be able to have a healthy marriage. You will certainly not raise good children if you don't have a sense of shame. You have to have a sense of shame. The kind of filth that is on television, the kinds of things you're watching. You know, the Messenger warned us, alayhi salatu wassalam. You know, Asiyat, Kariyat Asiyat, they're wearing clothes, but they're not wearing clothes. He warned us of a time like that. And that's what, it's just PG-13. It's okay, we can go. It's just PG-13. It's just one bad scene in there. Oh, it's not that bad, right? What do you want us to do then? Because, I can't even watch the movie. My parents don't let me do anything. My life is so sad because I didn't watch whatever. Right? Get over yourself and get over this obsession with entertaining yourself. You're a free person. There is life other than television and other than movies and other than Hulu.com and other than, whatever else. There's life outside of that too. There's still oxygen to breathe. You'll survive, trust me. You'll still be alive if you abandon those things. Actually, you'll be much happier too. If the thing is, I can tell you what not to do, but finally I have to tell you what to do, right? Because if you're not doing all of that, then what are you doing? Find time doing sports. Go out. Start jogging or something. Find a healthy activity. I'm not saying necessarily find a religious activity. I don't expect that from you. But I do expect, find an activity that at least isn't making you a worse human being. You understand what I'm saying? At least do no harm. At least do no harm. And the elders here that are sitting, please, just a minute of your time. If our youth are coming together in the masjid, and they're not learning anything about Islam. They're just sitting here, eating pizza or whatever, and just talking about stuff. Some random video game. I'm so happy that they're doing that. Because if they weren't doing that here, they're probably doing something much worse at home. So don't say, hey, these children, what are they doing? Please don't do that. Let them be here. Because the alternatives are worse. At least they're doing no harm. At least they're better than what else is out there. You understand? You have to build these, don't expect like the highest caliber of behavior from our youth. You didn't raise them that way, so how can you expect that from them? You put them in public school, they didn't apply themselves. You put them there, you expose them to shamelessness 8 hours every day, and then when they don't act like, the tabi'in, they're like, how can they behave like this in the masjid? What's the matter with you? Get real, accept reality, this is reality. So, I sincerely ask the elders of our community to have more tolerance for youth in the masjid, to be more welcoming to them, to not push them away. And I sincerely ask you, young guys, the last bit of advice is about shamelessness, and I'm done, inshallah. I promise this time, I'm done, I mean it. Find better company to hang out with. If your company is shameless, you will be shameless. If your company has shame and decency, you will develop shame and decency. If your company is messed up, they will drag you to hell with them. And you'll think that they're cool. But a day will come when they'll be really, really hot. Right? It's not going to be cool at all. So I pray you take some of this advice seriously, inshallah ta'ala. I didn't want to talk about too many things, but I ended up doing so anyway. I just feel like, I don't spend a lot of opportunity talking to youth about just simple advice. Avoid shamelessness and try to fight the ego inside. Inshallah ta'ala, retain your humility. I sincerely pray that you are able to be leaders of this deen and able to carry its message and able to raise healthy, strong Muslim families, inshallah ta'ala, when the time comes. Because you are our leaders. You are, like it or not, you guys are the leaders of this community in the next, decade. You are what this community is, inshallah. You are what Islam is. You have that responsibility. May Allah help you take that responsibility strongly, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah give your parents the ability to raise you right. May Allah help you find good company and help you avoid bad company. May Allah help you quit your bad habits, get you out of the cycle of being exposed to shamelessness, get you to learn to keep you to control your tongue against your parents, and to stop wasting your time and to become regular in your salawat. If I said anything good and true, it's a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. If I made any mistakes, they're certainly my own. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa natubu ilayka. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.